a scenario in which the European Union goes to war with the African Union. No, yeah. Europe has the technology advantage, but they have a, say, man advantage over the EU, because the EU is missing a lot of European power. This doesn't even include him. Like, Albania is the strongest nation in Europe, obviously. Well, actually, that's a lie. Finland is. Then it's Ukraine. That's how reality works. But Ukraine ain't a part of the European Union. Ukraine, like, this is a crazy wild map survey. I'm doing this mostly because of the success of the last video, where it was NATO versus Asia, which NATO kinda won. They beat all these guys. They beat all the weak guys. China and India and Japan and them, and Bhutan, the strongest nation left. But this is going to be the European Union. Two economic alliances going to war. I didn't want to do NATO versus the African Union, because the African Union, I believe, may be partially a military one, but I'm not 100% sure, and I don't think it includes all of Africa, but I think it does. I'm not sure. Just one sec, guys, and I'll suspended. We're not going to include them. Mali, a coup. Burkina Faso, another military coup. Guinea, another military coup. And Sudan. Yeah, military coups. And why is the EU the aggressor? Because, well, do you really think the African Union would say, hey, EU, we declare war on all of you and all of your members? Like, just think. Would they ever allow that? Would they ever do that? No, it would be more likely that France would start this. What? Why am I saying France? Because, you know, France does a bit of some suspicious things in there. But then again, maybe they're just hungry for land. And where I could see them making landings is, I think the first fighting would break out by France. By Spain, actually. With the Spanish military launching an invasion into Morocco. Here we might see some French invasion along with Spanish. The Italians would come here. And the Greeks might stage a landing there, along with Italians landing some by Tripolitania. And with the military of Libya repelling them from the capital. But unfortunately for Morocco, they kind of don't do as well. Well, why is Spain, like, invading like this? There's mountains there. Yeah, it divides them from a desert. And yeah, this happens with Algiers falling. Okay, that's just great. With Egypt's military being fully mobilized, allowing this to be knocked out. But this is at the time that France, Spain, and Portugal, and Italy are fully mobilized and at the front lines. These guys are also, Finland is probably mobilized, but they're moving their forces now south. And yeah, it's not very great. And they continue their, which, yeah, forgot one thing. These are the Canary Islands. Wait, or are they Cape Verde? No, that's Cape Verde. Yeah, Cape Verde. Cape Verde, Cape Verde, Cape Verde, Cape Verde. Right here. And that Spain, from the Canary Islands, or Azores, maybe it's Portugal, land here in the Western Sahara. And this has caused chaos, with all those advances happening to the south. And they get in Morocco. And they start entering into Algeria, with the first encirclement with a big chunk of Algeria's army being a success. But it gets stuck like that. And then with Morocco, they even encircle forces. Get stuck like this. And then they push down on both sides of the mountains. Eventually they come to Rabat, and they take Rabat. But Morocco doesn't surrender, because they don't like Europeans. Europeans start bombing campaigns. What, Europe? And yeah, this is what happens. They cut these nations off. Unluckily for them, Guinea is suspended. Ooh, that's just great. And yeah, I think you do get kicked out of the African Union if it's a coup. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And yeah, Western Sahara starts crumbling, with more European landings from European navies happening. Well, I guess it's not Europe, it's the European Union. Well, I'm guessing countries here are starting to get forces are like here. Countries from the north, their forces are like there. And countries like Finland, they're probably right there. On their way, en route. With this encirclement falling, and this other one falling. With encirclements falling. I just got news in this world. Yep, you want to hear the news? Well, in Algiers has been liberated by the people. Rabat has been liberated by the people. And yeah, that's about all. And they continue their advance in Mauritania, Western Sahara, and Senegal, and a stalemate breaks out here on this front. But with the civilians of Algiers getting pushed back, the partisans of Rabat managed to make a little offensive. But Europe continues their advance and uses Libya's civil war to send a huge front assault in. And yeah, why aren't they moving much? Because of resistance. Greece, Cyprus, Bulgaria, Poland, Romania, Hungary, Slovakia, Czechia, and Italy pull off an invasion here, 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 and here. And they're all a success, basically. Except in Egypt and parts of Libya, where there wasn't enough forces and they get pushed out. But this just sets up Libya for a bad situation where this happens. And yeah, the people of Tripolitania don't let it fall. So the Europeans just keep trying to take it and start moving into Libya. And they have a front like this. With some countries, with France sending its navy, Germany and Spain sending it south. And Portugal. Portugal lands in Mozambique and Angola. Germany lands in Namibia. France lands in South Africa. And this starts happening. And Spain helps these Portuguese forces. Don't ask me why. Historical rivalries say not. And yeah, this happens. And they can front, which is Angola. Why does Angola go bad? Because, well, Angola is one of the strongest in Africa, with some more forces being sent by France into the South Africa front. They even push up in the Lesotho. Although Tunisia and Western Sahara, although Tunisia is the only spot to be fallen right now and still fallen, the rest kind of overthrew it. But their first kill that can't really rise up happens, which is Lesotho. Yeah. And they start working on taking out the north. They move up the Gambia, and they do this. And, well, Guinea is kind of forced to fall. And, well, Mauritania is not in a good spot anymore. Within Libya, they just start sending forces like crazy in. And they have major successes in some of these areas that they push around because there's nobody fighting there. This is like one of the last few one area that nobody's fighting in. Falls. That's how they're advancing. And then here, well, Chad and Niger gets their forces ready for war. And Libya kind of falls, except where the civilians were fighting, which collapses. This one does, Morocco's does, and Western Sahara's group does. And well, guess who's in a bad spot? Algeria. But Egypt is in a good spot. Until France kind of just takes the Suez Canal casually and push out from it, and they encircle Cairo, taking it, which allows advances to happen quickly and smoothly. With Egypt in a bad spot, it's the strongest nation in Africa, so they manage to stabilize these advances at about here. And it continues while an army. And while in the south, well, France continues its advance. Down. And the second one has fallen. I think that's Pretoria. And then this is Johannesburg, which falls. How do you lose all three of your capitals, South Africa? Don't ask me. And then this happens. With this actually being a major success. But, you know who has the manpower? Well, they do. And this is a German advance. Yeah, and then, well, Mauritania gets into a bad position. And they kind of fall to here. And now this is Mauritania's new borders. No, I'm kidding. But you know where there is an advance that actually goes well? Here on Algeria's side. But this is a big continent to fight, and you're not doing the best. Europe, but what would they do? Much better than this, probably. And, well, the German forces, the French and Portuguese has met, and Spanish, but the German forces still have the meat, but there's more other forces probably. With this being the main front. With Namibia once like this is what it would happen. Let's say Egypt would probably have a better chance of getting it pushed back to stableness there. And I'd say it is possible they would kick them out of here and into Libya. But there might not be much they can do. As Europe would start doing some questionable stuff. And let's go to Chad. The Chad War breaks out. Wait, should I do civil wars? Well, I could. With a pro-European faction breaking out. European Union faction. Which is pro-Europeans coming. And yeah. Let's say this is... And, well, Europe launches their own type of guerrilla fighters. By just getting people who are... And in Niger, they have some Europeans that live there rising up. I don't know if there's Europeans living here. Let's just say these are two different guerrilla groups, both wanting Europe. No, the green one wants to stop the war with Europe, and so does the purple one. Eventually, they come to the agreement to just unite into one faction that's pro-European. And yeah, we already see the first revolts. But they're quickly put to an end as the European Union takes them out. But this kind of happens with South Africa becoming weak. And, well, this happens after South Africa has become weak. And they actually allow this to happen. with the South African front being a failure. For the blue team, with them just sending more troops. They're starting to train troops in this area and this area. Yeah. Because they actually introduced conscription, Europe did. Much like the EU has been talking about for a while, since everyone, because Algeria and Morocco, some of the strongest nations, have collapsed. With Europe kind of just has better training often. And I would say Europe also has a better economy, allowing it to contribute more of its money to the war, having a bigger military spending once it broke out. And let's say they have, likely I would say, they've increased production of weapons. And they continue their advances. Zambia. When it starts getting bad in Zambia, it kind of leads to some anti-war sentiment. With Zambia not wanting to be occupied, but becoming more and more so occupied, calls for leaving the war happen by the people who protest. But the government of Zambia refuses their offer, which leads some of their citizens to rise up. And they do this. They go right along the border. But everybody's too busy on the main fronts to even worry. But here they kind of do, but it does nothing because these people are helped by Europe. Which basically allows them to do this. With very little forces, they manage to succeed in doing that. And they also succeed in this, going down the coast by Malawi. But then they cross into Malawi, which the Europeans kind of just take advantage of this situation and move up to these forces, which they're supplying. And they start sending more and more supplies, and they do this. With Europe starting to see these movements too. And they make a landing in Sierra Leone and one in Somalia. It doesn't look like this war is going to end for any side. But it looks like Europe is starting to get tired, probably. With European forces wanting to go home. Someone in Mozambique overthrown Mozambique, and it led to Mozambique giving up. And then we have Malawi give up. And then we have them give up. And then we have Zambia just kind of give up. Which is something of worth a noting. And that's what it looks like. Yeah. With these green forces, well, just basically exiting the war. With them basically allowing Europeans to cross through their lands. Yeah. And this happens. But Europe is starting to get tired of the war. The African Union is also getting tired, so to lose less land, they start advances. Which which leads to a partial liberation of Libya. Which this happened, but... And then the DRC uses conscription to kick the forces back, the Europeans back, which works. And, well, they kind of launch an invasion to kind of de-Europify Zambia. And, well, they also use this time to make these areas fight with them again. Mostly Europe unable to hold a lot of this land because, well, the DRC and the people start sending all of their militaries basically in. Right now, they start focusing here because they see success in the north, with them realizing that they need to take land before the Europeans get resupplied. But, unfortunately, with all this success, they do kind of have problems with Somalia kind of dying. Djibouti dies. Eritrea kind of dies. And well, the Europeans kind of managed to do this again. Which basically is not very great. And everybody's exhausted of this war. Why wouldn't you, I mean? With Ethiopia kind of doing what Ethiopia always does. And kicking all the invaders out. But Egypt manages to keep its country safe. And Europe and African Union, the European Union and African Union come to peace negotiations and peace treaties with all those nations that lost partial land. Angola just because. Egypt gained land, Niger gained land. Italy gained land mostly from Libya, slight from Chad, Niger, and, well, as you can tell, they slightly also got land from Libya. Then we have Spain, who got Western Sahara, Mauritania, Morocco, a bit of Algeria, but Portugal gained that and that. France, Italy is all the orange. Italy, Spain. Portugal. Do you need to annex that much? Germany. Poland got that. Finland, Sweden. And, well, that's it. And why did I make an East African Federation? Because, well, I don't know. It's just that every episode so far, basically, that it impacted that area, I did that. And yeah. And what should you do? You should subscribe. We're at 81 subscribers. So that's only 19 away from 100. So we need to get multiple subscribers a day right now because we only have 2 weeks till Christmas. Christmas was a Saturday. Turns out that, yeah. And we'll do a Dictators No Peace special for it. Probably not the exact day we hit it, but 100 is a big number. Think of it, how big 100 is. 100. That's 100 more than when you start. Can't say 100 times because that make no sense because 100 times 0 is, well, 0. So yeah, it's an 100% increase. Well, I guess every number is 100%, but you start at 0. And it's only, our channel is only 7 months old. It looks like before even hitting into 2023, we went from 0 to 81 so far. But, need 125 discs. But the latest is before next year. But that's my goal. December 25th, getting there. And what's Kazakhstan say? Sub. Kazakhstan Uzbekistan. I never knew you would say sub. And what does the EAS say? Sub. And why am I making such a mess? Because, well, I can. And yeah, we're at 81. That's 19 away. You should subscribe. The specialist Dictators No Peace, me taking over the world. Wonder what country should I be? Ooh. India. Myanmar. Vietnam. Should I be Ukraine? Yeah. Glory to Ukraine. Yeah, I'm gonna be Ukraine. You may think I'm crazy. Because Ukraine, if we're only doing neighbors, well, you're in a bad spot. But Ukraine can do it. Glory. Yes, and free. And you know what the Atlantic says? Sub. And why am I using green? Because sub is fresh. Lol. Sub. Okay, Atlantic Ocean. I guess they heard you. Oh my god. Sub with an exclamation mark? What does the Indian Ocean say? Oh my god. Then 250? Yeah, we'll be the 1,000 by then, by 2024. I know that. But how close to it? And you need to leave a comment. A comment lets me know what you think, how you feel. A comment can be anything. And guess what the country is I'm thinking about? No, I'm kidding. I don't think about countries. But guess countries. Name countries with name a country that has one set of flag that has only green. Like, really? A green flag? That'd be so easy. You would just need to make a country ball with 2 eyes and green. Like, really? Too easy. And then we have Bhutan. How are we supposed to draw Bhutan? Bhutan's the best flag. And yeah, subscribe. Andrew Cannon to subscribe. Well, he can. And he should subscribe. Really. Subscribe. And that's all for today's video. Wild Mapper out.